morning, Tottenham fans. If you've been watching my videos all week, I've been proving narratives wrong. I've been debunking them. I've been putting context into them and explaining a different side of the story when it comes to the narratives about Tottenham and Ange Postecoglou. I found something out today that you probably won't believe, to be honest. And let me just get into it because I was shocked when I heard this, to be honest. So the narrative was, and this is the narrative that bugs me the most because I know it's not true. The narrative, the biggest one is, after 10 games, Tottenham fell off a cliff. They've not been good since the first 10 games. They haven't been the same. We haven't seen Ange ball since, blah, blah, blah. What if I told you I have proof that last season was actually not a bad season at all? Yes, we got injuries, not as many as we got this year, by the way. We probably got half the injuries that we got this season. But let me just tell you this crazy stat, and then you can make up your own mind. Currently, the Premier League is on 29 games. And if you looked at the table right now after 29 games, you would see that Arsenal have 58 points. Nottingham Forest have 54, then it goes down to 49 Chelsea, 48 Man City, 47 Newcastle, 47 Brighton. Now you'd look at that table and you go, bloody hell, Forest are having a really good season. Arsenal are not having a bad season. They were in a title race, but they seem to have slipped off a bit. But they probably still believe that they could catch up a few more points on Liverpool. You know, Chelsea have improved. But listen to this. Tottenham last season apparently fell off a cliff. They were no good after 10 games. They had a very, very poor season. Ange hasn't been good since after the 10 games. Tottenham have not been good since then. Let me just emphasise it. Nobody thought they had a good season. After 29 games last season, Tottenham were on 56 points, which means they would have been above Forest this season and only 2 points behind Arsenal. So either the whole of the Premier League have fallen off a cliff, or Spurs' season last season wasn't as bad as everyone was making out. Now, you tell me in the comments, if Spurs were that bad after 10 games, how are they only 2 points different from Arsenal this season? We, this season, have had horrific amount of injuries, and I've already proven that narrative that it's Ange's fault in another video of mine, that it's not true that his style of play or the training was the problem. We've had a lot of impact injuries, illnesses, bans, you name it, but it's not been down to his tactics or his way of playing, his philosophy, which he gets blamed for everything. Now this narrative has been squashed because after 29 games, we were on 56 points, would have put us third in the Premier League this season, when apparently this season is the most competitive season we've ever had. Anyone could beat anyone. But last season, Spurs were on 56 points after 29 games. How did we fall off a cliff after 10 games then? I already done a stat as well. There was an 18-game period after we lost to Chelsea 4-1. I think we lost 3 of the next 4 while we was coping without Romero, Udogie, Van de Ven and Maddison. Romero and Udogie came back from their suspensions. The next 18 games, we won 11 out of the next 18 and drawing 3 of them. That narrative that Spurs fell off a cliff after 10 games is completely BS. Please don't believe it. It's just part of their narrative to make you think that Ange is worse than he is. Honestly, it's not true. Look it up yourself if you don't believe me. Look at the table now and look at the table after 29 games when Spurs were on 56 points. 2 points different to a title chasing Arsenal this season. 2 points difference. This season, we've had horrific injuries, a massive amount of injuries, you know, and it's very, very hard to really want a manager out when he's had to go through so much pain, so much unluckiness, if that's even a word. How unlucky has this manager been this season? Even players that came back had reoccurring injuries again. Richarlison mainly, as he's always injured. You know, it's insane. And so this narrative, I'm hoping now, has been put to bed, because it's crazy to me. You know, this is proof that Spurs' season last season wasn't as bad as everyone was making out. Look at teams like Villa that finished 2 points above us last season. After 29 games this season, they're on 46 points. So they would have been 10 points behind us. See what I'm saying? This is not real, people. You know, these narratives are not real. They're not telling you the truth. The media want to spin it in their own little way. Yes, we fell off at the end of the season. Not after 10 games. It was at the end of the season we fell off a bit. We lost 4 games in a row. We lost to Newcastle away, Chelsea away, Liverpool away, and Arsenal at home. Yeah? All these games we normally have difficulty with. With a good team. Normally when we've had good seasons, we're on form, we're playing in Champions Leagues, and we've still struggled at these grounds. So, you know, we fell off at the end of the season. Just 2 more points would have got us into the Champions League. Please don't believe these narratives. If there's any narratives you want me to bring out next, like remember that narrative about the corners? Spurs can't defend corners. Every time there's a corner, Spurs concede. I think we only conceded like 3 goals in about 76 corners, something like that, something crazy like that. But then the narrative was Spurs always concede from set pieces. Spurs hardly ever concede from set pieces now. Hardly ever. I can't even remember the last one. And so that got put to bed. So then what the media does now, they try to find something else. What else can we beat Ange with? What stick can we beat Ange with this time? Please try and, if you hear a narrative, please do a little bit of research and just think to yourself, is this believable? Let me check it out myself. Is this really the because when narratives are put out and they have an agenda behind them, they normally haven't got any context to them. They normally don't tell you the whole truth. So, yeah, just try and use a little bit of knowledge, do a little bit of research, and you will see that most of these narratives don't make any sense whatsoever. Put some context into it. Yes, Spurs have had an awful season in the league. They've had 13 available players for about 2 or 3 months. No team in the world could cope with that. Losing most of your best players, nearly your whole defence. Can you imagine Arsenal this season losing Raya, Gabriel, Saliba, Timber, Rice, Odegaard and Saka? Can you imagine Arsenal playing without those players? Because that's the equivalent of what we've been doing this season. It's a bit, for me, it's common sense. For me, it's normal to think that is going to be difficult to play without your best players. In any sport, it would be very, very difficult. So, let me know in the comments what you thought about this stat, about Tottenham falling off after 10 games, but we're on 56 points after 29 games. Arsenal are on 58 now after 29 games. Make that make sense. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you for watching, and come on you Spurs.